All right, boys and girls, today we're going to read a story that we have read quite a few times, and that story is The Frog Prince. Can you read the title with me? Ready? The Frog Prince. Awesome. And do you remember anything important about this story? Right, and what else do you remember? Oh, wow. Yep, I remember that too. Now, on this story, we're going to focus all about the princess. Now, we can focus on all the other things, but what I really want you to start listening for is how this princess is the same and different as the princess in Princess and the Pea that we read earlier as a class, okay? So, we're going to read this story and focus a lot about that princess. All right, let's turn on our ears. Cha-ching, and let's listen. The Frog Prince. One fine afternoon, a young princess put on her cape, picked up her favorite toy, a golden ball, and went outside to play. The sun was bright and the sky was clear blue. The princess tossed her ball high into the air, but missed catching it because the bright sun got on her eyes and temporarily blinded her. That means she couldn't see for a second. The golden ball landed right in the middle of the pond, and instead of floating, it sank to the bottom. The princess began to cry. A friendly frog came out of the water and inquired, "Princess, what is the matter? Why are you weeping?" Now, the princess was a little spoiled and a little selfish. She was an only child, and she didn't know much about being kind to others, especially frogs. "Go away, frog," she sobbed. "I have lost my golden ball in your pond. It is my favorite toy. I am very sad." The frog looked at the princess and said, "I will get your ball and bring it to you if you allow me to live in the palace with you." The princess didn't think the frog would ever leave his pond, so she quickly agreed to his request. "Yes," nodded the princess, "by all means, if you will bring me my ball, you may come and live in the palace with me." Now, we remember that she made this commitment. Did she want to keep this commitment? So the frog put his head down and dove under the water. After a while, he came up with the ball in his mouth. He threw the ball to the edge of the pond. As soon as the young princess saw her ball, she picked it up. She was so overjoyed to have it in her hands again. She didn't even say thank you. She simply ran home as fast as she could. The frog called after her, "Princess, don't forget your promise. Take me with you as you said you would." The princess was so delighted to have her ball back, she never even heard his words. Is this princess very kind? Not right now. Is she keeping her commitment or promise that she made to the frog? No. Let's think about the Princess and the Pea. Did she keep her commitment? Does that make them the same or different? Right, good job. Later that evening, just as the princess sat down to dinner, she heard a strange noise. Tap, splat, tap, splat. Something strange was approaching. She heard a knock on the palace door. Then a croaking voice called out, "Princess, princess, open the door. Remember your promise, I implore. A home in exchange for your golden ball. You gave me your word, you must recall." The princess ran to the door and opened it. There was the helpful frog. Seeing the frog on her doorstep frightened her. She shut the door and ran back to the dinner table. Her father, seeing that she was frightened, asked what was troubling her. "There is a talking frog at the door," she said. "He retrieved my ball from the pond this morning. I told him that he could live here with me in exchange for his service. I didn't think he would leave the pond. What shall I do?" Then a croaking voice called out, "Princess, princess, open the door. Remember your promise, I implore. A home in exchange for your golden ball. You gave your word, you must recall." The king said sternly to his daughter, "You have given your word, you must keep it. Let him in." The princess opened the door and the frog hopped into the room, right up to the dinner table. I am hungry, declared the frog. The princess lifted the frog to the table and allowed him to eat from her plate. When he had eaten as much as he could, he said, Now I am tired. Please carry me to your bed. The princess was reluctant, but did as the frog asked. She placed him upon a pillow where he slept all night long. When morning came, the frog jumped up without a goodbye, hopped downstairs, and went out the house. The princess thought he was gone for good, but she was mistaken. When night came again, she heard the same tapping on the door, and the frog croaked once more. Princess, princess, open the door. Remember your promise, I implore. A home in exchange for your golden ball. You gave your word, you must recall. When the princess opened the door, the frog hopped in, shared her dinner, and slept upon her pillow as before. Morning broke, and the frog disappeared again. On the third night, the frog visited again and did the same. When the princess awoke on the following morning, she was astonished. Instead of a frog on her pillow, a handsome little boy stood by her bed, gazing at her with the most beautiful eyes she had ever seen. The boy explained that he was a prince from a neighboring kingdom. A spiteful fairy had changed him into a frog and declared that he would remain a frog until a princess would let him eat from her plate and sleep upon her bed for 3 nights. You, princess, have broken this cruel spell, and now I owe you a great debt, said the young prince. You are lonely. I can come every day to play with you if you like. The young princess quickly agreed. She was delighted to have a companion. The next day and every day thereafter, the young prince arrived in a colorful coach with 2 beautiful horses, decked with feather plumes and golden harnesses. He was a charming companion and taught the princess much about being kind. In fact, the frog prince and the princess became best friends. When they grew up, they married and lived happily ever after. The end. Round of applause. Awesome. Okay, so now I want you to think back to the story, okay? Now I want you to be thinking a lot about the princess from this story and the princess from The Princess and the Pea. I want you to tell me some things that are the same about the princesses or different, such as were they kind? Were they both kind, or was just one of them kind? Did one keep a commitment and the other didn't, or did they both keep a commitment? How did they act? What did they look like? I want you to tell me a couple of things that are the same about the princesses and different about the